Hi, we're going to solve our first triangle here, and they'd asked for the angle. This is what we're interested in, is this angle theta. So it's a Greek letter theta. We usually use Greek letters for our angles. We can also use capital letters. We could call this A, B, and C as if we want to as well. And we could then talk about capital A or angle A as long as we use a capital sign. Okay. Most important before we get any further is we label this triangle. Because there's a right angle, then we can draw from the right angle over here and call that the hypotenuse. If we're thinking about this angle, we're going to calculate with that angle, then that makes this side over here the opposite, which leaves the last one as being the adjacent side. So it's really important that you label, and now that's the only angle I can calculate with. I know we could figure out this angle, and we will later on, but our diagram is set up that this is the opposite side, okay? I always then go and write down the three possible formulas for this SOHCAH-TOA. So, S-O-H, Ka, C-A-H, and TOA, T-O-A. That's where it comes from, okay? And we're going to go through and say, I'd like to know the angle, so I'm going to identify that as what I'd like to know. I have the hypotenuse, and I have the adjacent sides, so I know which ones I have. Then I have to decide which formula to use. The only formula that makes sense in this one is the cos theta formula, because it's the only one that has two of the three things that I know. So that's the formula I'm going to pick, and I'm going to go ahead and write it down again here. Cos theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Important, I do need to have an angle there. Some people try to write cos equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Be careful, it's not. So then I've got cos theta equals, I'm going to substitute, instead of adjacent I've got 15, instead of hypotenuse I have 25. Now here comes the weird part. I need to find the angle itself. So to find the angle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo both sides of cosing. So it looks kind of weird. It's cos negative 1, and I do cos negative 1 of this side as well. And what that does is this cos negative 1 basically kills out that cos, and now we're just left with theta equals the inverse cos, or cos negative 1 of 15 over 25. So let's get a calculator to do that for you to see what it looks like. So I brought out this Desmos calculator, and you'll see I don't see the cos negative 1 on here. And so oftentimes in regular calculators there'll be a shift button, or in here in this case I'm going to do function. Now I see that cos negative 1. And in the brackets I need 15 divided by 25. And I can use the slash key on my keyboard to get that divide. And I end up with cos, if I hit enter if I want to, 53. So theta equals 53.13. 53.1 is good enough. And it's an angle, so it must be in degrees. If you didn't get 53.1 degrees, you can check to see if the mode in your calculator is not set to degrees. It could be set to two other types of angles, radians and gradians. We won't discuss either of them in this course, but they are something that can be used in other courses.